Do you indeed think that there is life on other planets? Tell me, do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
No, he seems definite. You seem definite about
Definitely.
it. How do you see this life and where?
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes,
Where was this?
definitely. At Lane Cove,
When was this?
1953.
You don't think this is a figment of your imagination?
Several other people with me saw it.
You all had the same figment. What did it look like?
It was standing up there, still,
Just suspended in space?
with colours coming out of it.
Flat or on its side?
It was around.
And you think this was sent from another planet, do you?
I really do. Well, where else would it come from?
Do you think there's life on other planets?
Oh, well, I wouldn't like to even discuss that.
Why not?
It's a debatable point, I suppose.
What do you think yourself? You must have an opinion here.
Well, definitely not.
Not?
Not.
Well, what leads you to say that? Scientific investigation or?
Well, only working off the theory of the Bible. Well, there's only one world, isn't there? And
But do you think that can stand up to present scientific investigation?
I think it could.
Do you think so?
I think
as far
it
as the
could.
universe goes?
Definitely so.
During the start of World War I in 1914, the United States was lagging behind when it came to military aircrafts, whereas countries like France had 1,400, Germany 1,000, Imperial Russia 800, and Great Britain had 400. Shockingly, the United States had only 23 military aircrafts. To tackle this embarrassment, engineers and researchers from the United States military came together, and with the help of the United States Congress, on March 3, 1915, the National Advisory Committee of Aeronautics, or NACA, was conceived. Its main objective was to study and solve problems brought by aeronautics, and NACA was to come up with new ideas and inventions to tackle this problem. During this process, advanced cutting-edge technologies emerged, thus helping the United States and its allies win World War I, which in turn spawned a world-leading civil aviation industry that helped shape the modern world. However, NACA did not stop there. In its quest for air dominance, it pushed the boundaries even further, becoming the first organization to invent the first supersonic aircraft, the Bell X-1, which broke the sound barrier in 1947, by achieving speeds 2 times faster than the speed of sound. This would prove substantial in 1975, when the first commercial supersonic aircraft was launched, the Concorde, cutting distances that would normally take 8 hours, to less than 3 hours. But because of the high cost of building these planes, noise pollution, and other factors, the Concorde was retired on November 23, 2003. While NACA was busy dominating the skies, and coming up with new innovations for the US military, little did NACA know, it was about to embark on a journey that would change the course of history, forever.
This is really quite an advancement for not only the Russians, but for international science. I think we'd all agree on that. It's the first time anybody has ever been able to get anything out that far in space and keep it there for any length of time. And this is probably the first step toward space travel or moon travel, something we'll probably run into maybe in Eddie's lifetime here at least.
Eddie, would you like to take a trip to the moon?
No, sir, I like it fine right here.
At exactly 7:28 p.m. on October 4, 1957, the Soviet Union became the first country to launch Sputnik, the first artificial satellite to be sent into space. It could be seen by anyone with a telescope around the Earth. With this great feat, the United States lost its bragging rights, and for fears of being attacked from space, the United States Congress went back to the drawing board, and under the National Aeronautics Act of 1958, signed by President Dwight Eisenhower, a new and improved organization was formed, the National Aeronautics Space Administration, or NASA, and everything under NACA was to be dissolved into NASA. NASA's purpose was to study and solve problems brought by aeronautics, within and outside Earth's atmosphere. In an effort to regain back its bragging rights, the United States on February 1, 1958, NASA responded to the Soviet Union with its own satellite, called Explorer 1. It was the first U.S. satellite and the first satellite to carry scientific instruments for measuring the radiation environment in Earth's orbit. This achievement marked the beginning of the space race era. After Explorers 1 success, NASA would go on to send instruments into space, from satellites, whose purpose was to broadcast signals for television and radios, to space probes, which were to explore and study space, to space stations, which was the flying house in space for astronauts, to telescopes, which were to observe stars and the infrared light emitting from space. And there is also a time the Russians sent Lahika, the first astronaut dog, into space, and the Americans did not want to be left behind. They sent Ham, the first chimpanzee astronaut. Luckily, they both survived, which in turn laid the foundations for the first manned mission to the moon. After Apollo's 11 mission success, it was evident that the United States had won the space race, and the feud with the Soviets over bragging rights was over, and now NASA's sole purpose was to study and explore the universe. One of the studies that were done from data taken from Earth and space-based telescopes suggested that the surrounding atmosphere of the outer planets, which are Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter, could possibly harbor some sort of life. With this profound information, NASA researchers, in collaboration with two well-known scientists and astronomers, Carl Sagan and Frank Drake, embarked on a journey to investigate and possibly look for any signs of life on these planets.
Jupiter has an atmosphere rich in hydrogen and its compounds, the same kind of atmosphere that the Earth had at the time of the origin of life. So we think that the building blocks of life, at least earthly life, are being produced on Jupiter today, raining down from the skies like manna from heaven. And Jupiter may be a vast planetary laboratory in the chemistry of the origin of life that's been working for about 5 billion years. It's by no means out of the question that there are forms of life in the clouds of Jupiter. And indeed, if you viewed the solar system from afar, I think you could make an argument that life on Jupiter was more likely than life anywhere else, including on the Earth.
Terry Drinkwater has the story of an endless Star Trek, the journey of a pioneer in space and time.
And on March 3, 1972, and April 5, 1973, NASA launched two space probes, Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11, into space. They were sent to investigate and collect valuable information of the outer planet's composition, atmosphere, signs of life, and also to explore the cosmos. Pioneer 10 was to fly by Jupiter and towards the constellation Taurus, while Pioneer 11 was to fly by Saturn and towards the constellation Sagittarius. However, before they were launched, they were both fitted with messages for intelligent beings, that is, if they were ever to be found by any other beings.
There are interstellar spacefaring societies which might someday pick up this derelict, no longer radioing. We thought we would put a message on it to indicate a little bit of where we are, when we are, and who we are.
The messages were in form of golden plaques, designed by Carl Sagan and Frank Drake. The messages contained an illustration of the hydrogen atom, which is abundant in the universe, the distance and direction to our sun, the solar system, where the message came from, the planet that sent the message, the size of the Pioneer space probe, and the humans that inhabit planet Earth. Unfortunately, Pioneer 10's last signal was on January 23, 2003, and it was estimated to be 7.6 billion kilometers away, while Pioneer 11's last signal was on November 24, 1995. Estimated to be 15 billion kilometers away from planet Earth. The Pioneers were the first space probes to be sent to the outer planets, and the first space probes to be sent into space with a message for intelligent beings, but they were not the last.
In the next episode, two detailed messages are sent into space in search of extraterrestrial life. Mysteriously, the reply that comes back is not what they expected. Here are 6 key points from this episode. Before NASA there was NACA. NASA was created to compete with the Russians in space. The Russians were the first to send a space probe in space. The United States became the first country to send a space probe outside our solar system. Space probes sent to the outer planets found no life but found signs of life on other nearby stars. A message to aliens containing information about our planet was sent to space.